Coming up on Network Africa, Côte d'Ivoire's former First Lady Simone Gbagbo officially cleared to contest in next month's presidential election. Gunman kills a senior lawyer in a drive-by shooting in Nairobi, Kenya. Plus, United Nations report warns that the number of overweight and obese teenagers around the world nearly tripled in the last 2 decades, with South Africa among the worst affected countries. Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olande. We begin in Côte d'Ivoire, where the former First Lady Simone Gbagbo has been officially included in the list of 5 candidates who have been cleared to contest in next month's presidential election. The former First Lady is expected to run against Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara, who took power after she and her former husband, Laurent Gbagbo, were captured in a presidential bunker during the conflict that hit the country after the 2010 election. However, the former president, Laurent Gbagbo, has been barred from contesting in the poll alongside the former Prime Minister, Pascal Nguessan, and ex-Credit Suisse Bank CEO, Tijani Thiam. Their disqualification has raised concerns about the legitimacy of the 25th of October vote and has sparked fears of instability in the country. In Kenya, a deadly shooting when a gunman who shot dead a senior lawyer and former head of the political party's dispute tribunal, Matthew Mbombu, in a drive-by shooting in the capital, Nairobi. According to witnesses, the gunman on a motorcycle pulled alongside Mr. Mbombu's vehicle and opened fire on the Langata-Magadi road. The motive is unclear, according to police authorities. However, the attack resembles the earlier killing of a lawmaker this year. The Law Society of Kenya has described the shooting as abhorrent and is demanding a swift investigation into the shooting. Well, joining us now for more on this is Cyrus Ombati, Kenyan journalist, for more on this. Hello, Cyrus. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon. I hope you're okay.
Good afternoon. Well, we understand that investigations are still ongoing to, determine the motive behind this shooting. That said, what more can you tell us about, the circumstances surrounding this killing, especially who the person of who Matthew Mbombu was?
Well, thank you for having me on the show. Mr. Mbombu was a prominent lawyer in Kenya. He was a lecturer at the University of Nairobi and the Kenya School of Law. That's the primary teaching law school in the country. He was also a former chairman of a political party, tribunal. It's a body which is supposed to kind of arbitrate disputes between parties on issues to do with political parties. So what we understand is that he had left his office in Nairobi here to his home, which is around 20 kilometers away. And then midway, there were gunmen who were following from his office. And when he was held up in a traffic jam, that's when one of them stepped off the motorbike, then pulled a trigger, killing him while he was driving in his car.
Well, it's quite an unfortunate incident you paint there. And given the similarities to, a previous lawmaker's assassination earlier this year, I imagine there's concern among officials, public officials, or even, ordinary citizens that these attacks are politically motivated or, part of a larger pattern.
Well, that's a major concern among many Kenyans rather than Nairobians because these kind of things come 4 months after the killing of that member of parliament, which happened in April this year. Similar manner, and then it was a drive-by shooting, and then this attacker ran away. But then Mr. Mbombu was a prominent lawyer, and because we have said earlier on, it raises so many questions because maybe he was killed because of his work. He's a lawyer. Maybe he had issues we were handling at the court, which some people were not happy about. or it was a deal gone bad, or it was a love triangle. You know, there's so many theories people are trying to think about what happened. But now we wait to see what the police are going to tell us going forward.
And what does this mean, for the security of Nairobi? A gunman in plain sight pulling out a gun and shooting someone in broad daylight. I mean, the security of Nairobi, how are people feeling about how are they safe or not?
Well, that's the concern of many people here in Kenya. But when we talk to police, they say this is an isolated case. This was a planned execution or murder, and they have faith that they will arrest those people behind it because we understand they are pursuing many angles and other angles they to follow in terms of trying to identify the killers because they were riding on a motorbike. They captured on a CCTV camera. So they are saying they are pursuing good deeds to arrest those people behind it. Police are trying to assure the country that everything is under control and there's no need for panic to say that Nairobi is unsafe.
Yes, it will take a lot to, build that public trust in safety and the justice system in Kenya. We'll wait to see how it all pans out. Thank you so much, Sarah Sombati, Kenyan journalist in Nairobi.
Thank you for being the chair.
Well, we're in South Africa now. In light of the U.S. tariff, the country's President Cyril Ramaphosa has urged companies exporting to the U.S. to seek other markets. President Ramaphosa appeared before the National Assembly to answer questions from members of parliament in Cape Town. A month ago, the Trump tariffs came to effect with South Africa hit with 30% tariffs, but President Ramaphosa has sent officials to the U.S. for trade proposals.
South Africa is responding to the imposition of these tariffs by the United States by intensifying its own engagement with the U.S. administration. We are working to stabilize diplomatic relations, and we are introducing a range of measures to make South African companies more resilient. We do believe that this is the best course we should take, and in a way it is double-pronged. We negotiate with the United States, but at the same time, we encourage our companies to use this as an opportunity to start seeking out other markets. And we do have leverage, and our leverage has to do with, yes, the natural resources that we have, the minerals that we have, which the United States needs. The discussions that we are having now with the United States also revolve around that. The critical minerals that South Africa has and the capacity that we have to process those minerals with the energy backing that we have, which many other countries don't have, is something that we take to the table and use as leverage. So I'd like to say that it is a strategy that we have opted for, and a strategy of engagement, and a strategy which we believe will yield results.
In the meantime, the Human Rights Commission of South Africa has slammed the planned eviction of informal settlements in the Gauteng province. The SAHRC, in a statement, said plans by the Gauteng Premier, Panyaza Lesufu, are inhumane and degrading. A week ago, Premier Lesufu warned the citizens and residents on planned evictions and dismantling of informal settlements in order to save Gauteng. In his response to the SAHRC, Premier Lesufu says the Commission has to adhere to the Constitution.
Our approach has been very simple. We'll do everything within the law. We've never propagated that we'll do anything outside the law. And we still maintain that stand. And I don't want to be in a tussle with the South African Human Rights Commission. They play a very important role, and I supported the role that they play. But on this aspect, it would have been better for them to have extended the communication to me if they have reservations, because we don't want to do anything outside the law. But I don't think the South African Human Rights Commission protects illegal things. They also have to adhere to the constitution of our country, and therefore I appreciate their guidance, but I can assure you that indeed we're going ahead to remove illegal infrastructure, and the assumption by other institutions that we're doing this without court orders or without following legal processes is misplaced.
The United Nations says the number of overweight and obese teenagers around the world has nearly tripled in the last 2 decades, and the number of overweight children aged 5 to 9 years has also increased from 69 million to 147 million. And South Africa is one of the worst affected countries. In South Africa, the challenge of unhealthy diets starts early. Research shows that nearly 80% of baby foods on the market are high in sugar, and children are further exposed through aggressive marketing of unhealthy products. Obesity is a severe form of overweight and leads to a higher risk of developing insulin resistance and high blood pressure, as well as life-threatening diseases later in life, including type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and certain cancers. With U.S. government funding cuts now in place, Nigeria must strengthen domestic health financing to keep HIV at the center of health reforms. This was the position of the National Coordinator of the Network of Persons with HIV/AIDS in Nigeria, Mr. Abdul Kadir Ibrahim, at a stakeholders engagement in Abuja. He noted that 24 states have passed the HIV anti-discrimination law, and advocacy is now targeting states such as Adamawa, Kogi, Nasarawa, Osun, and Enugu, where the law is still pending. Our correspondent Benny Ark reports.
Recognize and welcome. A stakeholders' engagement on HIV financing and the domestication of the anti-stigma law is underway in Abuja. Legislators, government officials, civil society groups, and representatives of people with HIV gathered to discuss sustainable strategies for Nigeria's HIV response.
It is important for us to really begin to have a national dialogue, bringing different stakeholders to really come together to analyze things and to also discuss how best we could really come out of this.
The meeting aims to drive conversations on local health financing and ensure the full domestication and implementation of the HIV anti-discrimination law across all states.
The most important thing is sustainability of all the gains we've had over the years, with partners' resources, with government resources, with community resources and resilience. We know we will win the battle.
I believe that Nigerian government must take the lead in funding for the response to public health threats such as HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria.
Speakers reiterated the need for sustainable local funding and legal protection to guarantee access to treatment and end stigma.
With the recent U.S. government funding cuts, it became very obvious for us to look inward and have this in-country dialogue on health financing. And our main objectives as representative of people living with HIV is to ensure that HIV is still part of the core discussion, to ensure that it's not left behind in the ongoing health reform that is ongoing. So far, about 24 states have domesticated the anti-discrimination law, so the remaining states are the one we are targeting. So we are really advocating more.
We would love it that the rest of the states enact this anti-discrimination law, and then also there's also a conversation on viewing the discrimination anti-discrimination law, which will be really good because this will not only be enacted, but also it will be spoken of, and then there will be sensitization and awareness that will be passed down.
Over the next 3 days, participants will deliberate on ways to strengthen the HIV response through domestic financing and state-level legal actions. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
Let's take a break now on the program. Still to come. The global Sumud flotilla, GSF, reports the second consecutive night of attacks while docked off the coast of Tunisia. Please stay with us for more. Welcome back to the program. Ships of the Sumud Freedom Flotilla have arrived in Tunisia with solidarity activists and peace advocates from around the world preparing to depart from the Sidi Bou Said port towards Gaza. And this is in a renewed attempt to break the Israeli naval blockade. According to organizers, about 20 ships sailed from Spain to Tunisia in batches carrying participants from 44 countries, including Swedish activist Greta Thunberg and Portuguese politician Mariana Mortágua. The flotilla, initially due to depart on Sunday, had to be rescheduled due to technical and logistical challenges. The mission aims to deliver humanitarian aid to Gaza and establish what organizers have described as a people's humanitarian corridor amid the ongoing conflict in the Middle East.
I'm so ashamed of what we have let happen to you in Gaza. I'm really ashamed, but I'm also convinced that the humanity that you have awakened in all of us, from Africa to Asia, Europe, and the Americas, is not in vain. And all these people will help you break the siege and be free in the land you call home. Stay strong.
I've been on two flotillas, the 2010, where 10 people were murdered by the Israelis. 2016, the women's vote. So I've been in Israeli prison 2 times with this. We are so excited about the global Sumud because we have a whole new generation of people who are ready to take over the flotillas and sail to end the Israeli blockade of Gaza, sail to end the genocide, the Israeli genocide of Palestinians. So it's very exciting to be here with all of these new people that are challenging Israel on all of its criminal policies.
We are here because there is a blockade. There is hardly any aid getting through to the brothers and sisters in Gaza, so they are being starved to death. The reason why we are here is because it's a humanitarian crisis, and the truest essence of humanity exists all over the world with all of the support that Palestine has been receiving for many years, but in particular of the last 2 years. This is a very important urgency issue, and we need to make sure that we break the siege. So we shouldn't have to be doing this. This is something that our governments should be doing, but most of us are aware that our governments are complicit in a genocide.
The genocide is a mass disabling crime of humanity with so many people with disabilities, new war-related, conflict-related injuries, and I'm here to make voice with people of disability. There are about 1 billion people with disability around the world, and we need to focus on all eyes on Gaza with people that are being disabled by the genocide.
Meanwhile, pro-Palestine activists sailing with the global Sumud flotilla, GSF, have reported that another of their boats was hit and set ablaze while docked off Tunisia's coast, marking the second night attack in a row. International Aid Initiative GSF declared the British-flagged Alma was attacked by a drone at the Sidi Bou Said port, adding that all passengers and crew were unharmed and the vessel suffered no structural damage. Well, the incident comes a day after participants reported another of their boats was hit by a similar suspected UAV attack, although Tunisian authorities stated that the explosion originated inside the vessel. The flotilla is a global effort to provide humanitarian aid to war-torn Gaza using civilian boats, supported by delegations from 44 countries. Well, back here in Nigeria in the last 3 days, it's been a roller coaster between residents of Oworonshoki and the Lagos state government as a result of their houses that were demolished. While the people insist that their houses are not shanties, the Lagos state government has also announced that no compensation will be paid to them because they have no form of approval. This is according to the State Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development, Mr. Oluyinka Olumide, who made this comment during the ministry's quarterly press conference at Alausa, Ikeja. He says it is illegal for the people to occupy a land without any approval.
This one you are talking about, the Yanoworo, you are talking about the Woro, you are talking about, they were adequately carried along. It's not new, but this is the excuse that people will always tell you, that they were not informed, and that is not true. In the first instance, it is illegal. So what compensation will you be asking on? So I should carry the tax you are paying, because I know you work in Channels, you pay tax. The tax that you pay to go and give somebody on an illegal structure, are you okay with that? Should the government be doing that? To carry your own hard-earned money and be giving somebody illegal your money? Is that fair? No. Our responsibility is that those areas, what are the conditions that warrant demolition? One, if you build under high tension, we will demolish. If you build over a gas line, we will demolish. If you build on drainage paths, we will demolish. If you build on setbacks, we will demolish. Those ones are direct. Now, there are others that if you build on an informal or not ready to use land, as in the case you mentioned about, because they can't get approval, they don't have approval. And unfortunately, because these are buildings that are done by quacks without recourse to proper examination of the engineering principles. So on one side, they don't have title to the land. On another side, they don't have approval. On another side, what they even built is threat to life because it's now a distressed building. So you have more than enough ground to remove them.
And as we end the program today, here's a fun fact about the continent. Did you know that the Kogosi Warm Springs, located in Ekiti State, Nigeria, is a rare natural wonder where warm and cold springs flow side by side without mixing at the point of confluence? The warm spring maintains a temperature of about 70 degrees centigrade at the source, gradually cooling as it flows, while the cold spring stays significantly cooler. According to local legend, the springs represent the spirits of two wives of a powerful hunter, one warm-tempered, the other cold, whose rivalry led to their transformation into these natural streams. Well, the site is not only a geological marvel, but also holds cultural and spiritual significance for the local community. Well, if you didn't know, now you know. And that's it on the program for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.